teaching at 8:32.
Well, then why did you tell us that 8:30 would work for you?
Yeah. Why'd you tell us
Because
8:30
that's
would work for you?
the same that it always is every week when
Well,
I say
well, how about
8:30.
why don't you say 8:45 then?
If you want to think 8:45 from now on, that's totally fine.
Well, no,
Or
I'm going to go by your word.
why
You
don't you
said,
say 8:38?
yeah.
I mean, I can quit the podcast. That's fine.
No, I just, we cost the listeners 8 great minutes.
Uh-huh.
Can never get that time back.
That's true, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and this is like, I don't know, we're like, shoot, I'm drawing a blank. We're like pound cake here. You need butter, sugar, and flour. Okay, you can't just have butter and sugar in there. I'll just go and say I'm butter. Colin can be sugar, and that leaves you as the gluten, Ethan.
Okay, that's fine. I think I'm okay with that. I think next batch of merch that we get made, there needs to be pound cake involved somehow. there needs to be something. This is like, yeah, a new slogan or logo or something. Yes, I like this.
I was originally going to say salad dressing, but that's just like oil, water, and vinegar, and that didn't. That was the first thing I could come up with.
I mean, we could still do that. I mean, I think things could get a little bit more negative with that, but yeah, I think butter, flour, and sugar is a little nicer.
Well, what negative? Because it like separates or something, Or...
Oh well, because like you could say like whoever's water, probably Colin, is like super bland and boring and everywhere. Who cares? Vinegar, maybe me, is like really bitter and nasty. And then oil, I don't know what oil it would be for you.
The fat. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Why do you think I said I was the butter? Come on. And then Colin's the sweet one. That's the sugar. And then I was going with you is like,
yeah, flour.
Yeah.
Yeah, flour. Flour's a little boring. I don't like being the boring one, but that's okay. That's all right. Anyways,
good stuff.
What do we got on the docket?
Yeah, we're two jocks and a schlub. I am again going to remember to introduce ourselves to any of our new listeners, and just to remind any of our recurring listeners, our dedicated followers, who we are. I'm sick, still on the tail end, I think.
Still.
And so I am not drinking tonight. But you guys, I see Ethan's drinking a beer right now, and Matt, you had a long day, so I hope you're topping it off. There we go. Let's talk about beer.
KBS.
Oh, but a special KBS. So you guys hear that? Ethan went, ooh. This is like one of the OG barrel-aged stouts that like beer nuts like myself 15 years ago would chase around town. So it's KBS by Founders Brewing up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. KBS stands for Kentucky Breakfast Stout. So it's a like chocolate coffee maple bourbon barrel-aged stout. It's very tasty. It used to be super, super limited. Like you always knew around the beginning of April, like you had to be on the lookout for KBS because like your favorite beer store is going to get like one case and then there's going to be 5 people there already waiting for it. So it used to be something people chased around town. Now it's everywhere, which is great. Which sucks is because just because it's everywhere doesn't mean it's any less of a good beer. But there's a certain cadre of beer drinkers out there who thinks like, oh, well, now that everyone can drink this, it must not be that good. I don't want to drink it. But like, still a really damn good beer. So now because it's everywhere and Founders is making money on it, they're trying to still keep getting people to drink it. So this one's actually a variant. They're adding new stuff to it now to try and get more people to drink. So they did an espresso version. They did a cinnamon vanilla version. This is the hazelnut version. I haven't tried it yet. I just poured it. So yeah, I'm excited to try it. 12%. Give me a little buzz. But yeah. Thank you, Founders.
I actually have a quick KBS story just to tack on to what Matt was talking about. So like, yeah, a few years ago, it was like highly coveted and really hard to find. And I probably texted Matt at the time. Matt, I don't know if you remember this, but
we're in Ithaca.
It wasn't Ithaca. It was Colgate.
Yeah. Hamilton.
Yes, Hamilton. I can't remember the name of the place. It was like a hotel. It was like a classy hotel. This is Hamilton, New York, upstate New York, where Colgate University is. I was playing a gig there with Symphoria, which is the Syracuse Symphony, and I was playing a gig at Colgate University, and a buddy of mine and I went to this local like hotel that had this really nice bar, and he knew that they had a great selection, and they had KBS on draft, I believe, and they were one of 3 bars in all of New York State that had it on draft. So this is no more than 9 years ago, because I would have started playing with the orchestra in 2013. So even as of like say 8-9 years ago, it was still that hard to find. Only one of 3 in New York State at that time that had it on draft at that moment.
You did send me a picture, and I was pissed.
Yeah, yeah. So that was awesome. That was really fun. And that bar, yeah, really lovely. Yeah, I wish I could remember the Colgate Inn or something Inn. I don't know. In any case, tonight, so those of us, those recurring listeners, I know there are so many out there, you have all gotten used to by now the fact that Matt and I have been, for weeks now, like months now, have been making our way through various special, like, other half packs. And so I'm drinking one from our most recent pack that we have, which was an NCAA basketball tournament inspired pack. What they call it, the March Madness pack?
The March Madness pack.
Yeah. And so what I'm having tonight is actually a collaboration between Other Half and Short Throw Brewing, and it's called the Big Dance. And IPA, Other Half, it's delicious. And this one is 10.5%. So Matt and I both might be getting a little buzzed by the end of tonight's show.
And for all those interested listeners, I've ordered our next pack.
So you have?
Yeah. Releasing today was their
the
Munchies pack. In honor of tomorrow's holiday, Earth Day, of course. That's what I'm referring to, Earth Day. And Other Half, I think they just ran out of stuff to name beers. So like 5 or 6 years ago, they just started naming beers like broccoli or baked potato or like big pizza slice. They just started naming it random stuff because they were running out of things to name their beers. So this is all new versions of some of their food-related beers. In celebration of tomorrow's holiday, which again is Earth Day. Happy Earth Day. Happy Arbor Day or Earth Day or whatever, one of those two. I don't know.
I think it's Earth Day.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Matt, while you're looking that up, it was a good analogy that you used for me to be the sugar, because while you guys are having your beers and getting buzzed that way, I'm having a bunch of gummy bears just trying to get a sugar rush to get through this.
Nice.
I guess Earth Day is April 22nd.
April 22nd.
And Arbor Day is April 29th. And Record Store Day is April 23rd. So we're just going to celebrate all 3 of those days.
And Google Calendar does not list any of them. Normally it lists the holidays, but it does not list those.
Wow.
It had Easter, but not Earth Day. Who gives a fuck about Easter? Earth Day's way more important.
Wow. Better write into whatever the Google boy names are now.
Google boy names?
Well, it used to be Sergey and Eric or whatever. Now they're gone.
Oh, they're gone? I don't know.
I don't think they're there anymore.
Google,
who founded you? Google founders.
Content people love.
Oh, yeah, that's
Larry and Sergey. Sorry, not Eric.
That's
Larry.
What you're saying. Okay.
Larry. Yep.
I was confused.
Yep.
Okay.
I remember Larry. Speaking of Larrys, Matt. So Ethan, you're going to be the moderator for this.
Okay.
Matt and I have been having a disagreement about nobody named Larry, but I needed a way to segue into
this. Very well done. This is why you're the pro. That was excellent.
I like it.
And I think we're almost on the same wavelength now, Matt, but I think we're still in disagreement about what is a large enough sample size to make a definitive statement about somebody's performance.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
right.
You got on me about Ryu, the starting pitcher.
Hyunjin Ryu, right?
Yep, starting pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, who prior to the season, I said on this podcast that Matt and I saw him get lit up in LA when he was the leading Cy Young candidate. And he's really never, I feel like, been the same pitcher since. He's been really up and down. When he's good, he's really good. But when he's bad, he's really bad. And in his first start of the season this year, he had all of that in one start. He was really good to start the game. The Blue Jays gave him a 6-1 lead, I think, or something like that. And it evaporated really quickly. And I sent it to Matt and Ethan. We have our group chat. And of course, Matt right away was like, one start doesn't support your opinion or whatever it is.
Does
And I
not
was
a
like,
trend make?
Yeah.
yeah, a trend, right? Yes, does not support a trend. And I was like, yeah, but this has been going on since the second half of last year, which I also said on the podcast. If you want to rewind the videotape and listen to that as well. And so in my opinion, that is a long enough sustainable period, half a season leading into a new season, to say this is a trend, that Ryu is not a number one, not a number two, maybe a number three on a pitching staff. And I think that's a long enough time. Whereas Matt then came at me with, well, G had a homer in 6 straight games, dating back to last year.
That makes him on pace for 162 home runs this year, right?
But we all know that 6 games is a lot different than half a season. Like, am I just overlooking something?
Should I moderate yet, or should I let Matt respond?
No, go ahead, moderate. Go ahead, moderate.
I think Matt was just being a smartass and was trying to get you going, and I think it worked like a charm. I think, yeah, six games is obviously way too small of a sample size. Like, who gives a fuck about 6 games? I mean, well, it's interesting. I would say that half a season is pretty solid, but I think it depends, right? With pitchers, I think it depends more on like innings and on actual games, right?
Well, so I wasn't making six games as a comparison to half a season. I was making 6 games as a batter as a comparison to 1 start as a pitcher.
Right, sure. But what I was thinking of, though, is even with a half of a season for a pitcher, even that you can go wrong, right? Because think of like Aaron Small, for instance. When was that? In 2003?
Good callback.
When
Yeah.
he went like
2005, I think.
he went like 10-0 in half of a season, right?
Yeah.
And then was he ever heard from again? Now, granted, we know on this podcast that wins and losses are a garbage stat, and we don't care about that, right?
Mhm.
But he was like solid overall. I'll pull up the actual numbers, but like even that was a half a year where he was really good, and I don't think he was ever heard from again. So even
but
a half
Aaron
a season
Small didn't have a
is tough.
track record before that.
True, that's true. And Ryu did have at least, I was just looking at his numbers. He had at least 3-4 really good years earlier in his career, at least.
Well, I'm going to torpedo your argument, though, Colin.
2005, Colin, you were right. 2005, good memory. Yeah, sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Ryu was hurt. So.
Oh, yeah, Ryu's hurt.
I don't give a
shit. That could be why, he could have been hurt for half a season.
I don't give a shit. The trend is still moving down.
Yeah, true. Yeah, seriously? Okay, so hold on a second, though. So Aaron Small was out of nowhere fantastic in 76 innings for the Yankees in 2005. Like, just so much better than the rest of his career. It's insane. Like, for those who are curious, look up his numbers. He threw 27.2 innings for the Yankees in 2006. He was 34, and then he was never again in Major League Baseball.
Never again.
And 2005 was his first time with the Yankees. He had thrown... Oh my god, dude, I forgot about this. This is so insane. Okay, I have to talk about this really quickly because I forgot about this. So, obviously I used him as my point earlier and everything, and that's cool. But here's what's so crazy, okay? Aaron Small never threw 100 innings in a season. He came up in 1994. He played through 1998 as like a part-timer. He was only up a little bit each season. In 1998, he threw 67 innings. The next time he registered anything in Major League Baseball, so remember, 1998, next time he did anything was in Major League Baseball was in 2002. He pitched 0.1 innings for the Atlanta Braves. Okay? So nothing from 1998 until 0.1 innings in 2002. Then, nothing again until 2004, when he pitched 16.1 innings for the Marlins. So, from 1998 to 2004, he threw 16.2 innings, 2 years apart. Okay, from 98 to 04, 8 fucking years. And then randomly with the Yankees in 2005, he throws 76 innings. He goes 10-0 with a 3.2 ERA, a 1.33 ERA plus, a 3.88 FIP. I mean, he was like legitimately good that year.
He was the 12th on the team in WAR that year.
Like, that is fucking insane. This is like what Joe Paz and Mike Schur talk about, like the Yankee black magic. Like, the Yankees get these people out of nowhere who were nothing. They were nobody. They were garbage. And all of a sudden, they're like amazing for the Yankees. Now, granted, this was clearly just lightning in a bottle for half of a season or whatever, but like, holy fuck, I did not realize that he did literally pretty much nothing in the major leagues since 1998, and then did that in '05 for us. That's so crazy.
And he lost his playoff start. That was his one loss of the year.
Oh, is that right? Of course, classic.
It's like Sean Chacon.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, well, but okay, for every Sean Chacon or Aaron Small, there's a fucking Esteban Loaiza.
Yeah, or Javier Vasquez, Sonny Gray,
or an Andrew Heaney, which also segues us very nicely into the next conversation. I read an interesting fact as of yesterday. There were only 2 pitchers in all of baseball in early 2022, obviously, to have thrown 9+ innings with 16+ strikeouts in a 0.00 ERA. Who are those 2 pitchers?
You gave it away. Let's see if Ethan knows.
I don't know. Heaney and then whoever else. A second guy.
Can I take on?
Heaney's one, obviously.
Can I say it?
Go ahead, Matt.
Nestor Cortez.
Nestor Cortez.
Oh, I should have
Yankee
known
Black
that.
Magic. The other half didn't really work out too well.
Yeah. It goes one way or the other, right? There's like the Black Magic that's insane, but then there's the people who were like really good everywhere else, but are busts in New York.
Now the difference between Cortez and Heaney is Cortez has a trend. He has pitched well for roughly 3/4 of the season last year, and now into this season as well. Whereas Andrew Heaney was, outside of some numbers that people tried to use to say that he had good stuff, which apparently he does, horrendous last year with the Angels and the Yankees.
But don't stay on your high horse with a trend, because if that's the case, then what the fuck happened to Gary Sanchez? Okay, he had a great half a season trend, and then
okay, Gary Sanchez had 2016, 2017. That's a full season plus.
That makes your argument even worse then, because that was a great trend, and then
okay.
I'm not saying that the trend stays up forever. I'm just saying,
but
this
the trends mean nothing. Trends mean nothing. It's a trend. It's a trend. It's a statistical aberration. It means nothing. You were either good or not.
Matt
is not good.
Matt is being a contrarian at this point. He knows as well as we do that half of a season is enough to make an informed guess about something.
Okay,
you can
then
make a
what
little bit
happened
of
to
an
Shelley
assumption.
Duncan?
Yes, I already brought up the Aaron Small example.
Or Shane Spencer.
Shane Spencer. I forgot about Shane Spencer. Yes, we are not saying that you can.
Shane Spencer was September only.
We're not saying you can judge a whole, I'm not going to bet something on my mother's grave based on half of a season or whatever, right? But it's a decent enough sample size that you could speculate that it might be something sustainable, right? It might not be. I think half a season is something because of these examples, right? Aaron Small, Shelley Duncan, Shane Spencer, there are billions of them. You definitely want more than that, right? But it's enough, I think, to at least you can start to make some assumptions. I think that's Colin's point, right? Is you can at least start to.
It brings legitimacy to the conversation.
A little bit, yeah. It brings a little bit at least, yeah. I don't know that you would want to go any lower than that. I think that's the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. And even that, as we've established, even that is not great. And even a full season is right. We would want more if we could, right? Because think about a full season. Look at Brett Boone and Brady Anderson. Of course we know that there were other impacts there, but one amazing season is not enough even on its own either sometimes. So it's hard to say.
Got to be careful, or else Gleyber Torres is going to fall into this conversation too.
Oh God,
he's been trending the wrong way for a
a while now. It's really sad. I'm really bummed. I'm losing hope.
So the guys while I was in the bathroom at Camden Yards this weekend, the guys on the radio said that since his 11 home run outburst against the Orioles a couple years ago,
2019
has not hit a home run against the Orioles since that year.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's amazing. He
hasn't been the same player since 2019.
What?
He hasn't been the same player since 2019.
No, he hasn't. Not even close. I'm looking at his numbers right now. It's like something happened. He just fucking cratered.
Now, did the Space Jam monsters decide they wanted to play baseball or something?
It's crazy. It's so, he was 21 and 22 in 18 and 19, and he was like really good in both years as a 21 and 22-year-old. Like normally when that happens, we're talking about trends. Normally somebody who's really good as like a 21 and 22-year-old is only going to get better.
Mike Trout, yeah.
Yeah, Juan Soto, Tatis and fucking Vlad Guerrero Jr., all these guys, right?
Yeah.
Something happened to Glaber. They got to fucking figure that out. My God.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to defend Glaber. I love him and I hope he turns it around. But Glaber's trajectory is in line with something that friend of the podcast, Joe Posnanski, recently wrote about. The ball that Major League Baseball uses, including this year, is completely different than the one that was being used prior to 2020, especially the ball that was used in 2019 when he said that he hit 36 home runs himself. He found it in Baseball Reference. So, the ball was like just everyone was hitting home runs and everything. And it masked the inability for hitters to hit these days because pitchers are so good and they're so specialized and there's so many of them and it's so difficult. And again, we're really early in the season, but Joe Paz was writing about this. We're already like 11 points below as a league, the lowest batting average ever on record in Major League Baseball. Well, and that was in 1968.
This goes back to the major leagues. They said that when they found it, the ball was still in tolerance, right? But they were within its tolerances, which I struggle with that explanation as a person who is a manufacturing professional. Like tolerances are important. It's acceptable variation in manufacturing. You're never going to make a machine that makes the exact same thing over and over and over again, because the smaller and smaller you measure, you can still find differences. You're never going to make something 1.000000000 inches wide every damn time. They're not going to happen. Get really close and make it really expensive, but for something that's a buck a baseball or whatever they pay for, I'm like, that's not going to happen. But they've shown that they can control the baseball within those tolerance ranges. So they've shown they can shift it one way or the other, which means either your tolerances are too high or that this is a desired effect that they are creating. Because if this wasn't desired, or if this was, they could shrink those tolerances. They could say, all right, well, what an acceptable baseball is not anywhere between these two bounds. It's between these two bounds now. And again, if they want that performance, they shrink that tolerance. You can do that with cost. I mean, that's the difference between, something made in China that's 3 cents and a semiconductor that's down to the nanometer. So to me, I don't want to go full Pete Alonso conspiratorial, they do this on purpose, but I feel like they are more responsible for this than they are letting out.
Yeah.
And I will leave it at that. I'll put a pin in that.
Yeah, and the reason that Joe Paz wrote the article where he talked about the batting average in the first place is because on Sunday, there were 15 Major League Baseball games, and there were 14 total home runs hit.
Wow.
Yeah, which is just unbelievably weird and doesn't happen very often. And it just pointed out how much the home run was masking how long we've been the trend since 2014, really, that hitters have been getting worse and pitchers have been getting better, and the home run masked it for a little while. And now that the home run's not a thing anymore, I mean, the Yankees, I was telling Matt earlier, Ethan, going into tonight, the Yankees had scored runs in 20 of 91 innings this season. 20 of 91 innings.
Jesus Christ.
The New York Yankees, all of that talent.
Yeah.
It's just like, and part of that, I mean, this could be a whole nother conversation around like, why did they keep Boone? Because it seems like it's the same energy this year that it's been the past couple of years. Like they are zombie walking out there right now. But there's a lot of teams that are struggling, just like the Yankees, to not just hit the ball out of the park, but just put the ball in play. And even with the expanded rosters, and a lot of teams are carrying 15 pitchers because of the lockout and the delay of spring training and everything. Like, I mean, basically, what's the average? Like, starting pitchers are averaging like 4 innings or like 3 point something innings.
Oh my God, really?
And then it's just reliever after reliever. Like Joe Pot, he walked through like he walked through all the reliever names, and he's like, if you didn't know that they played Major League Baseball, you would think that I'm making these names up. And he's like, you still might think I'm making these names up.
I'm picking them out of a phone book.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, but these pitchers are parading through these super talented, uber talented lineups, like the Yankee lineup. That was one that he specifically wrote about, and just shutting them down, like not even close. And he's like, it's just, the game has changed so fundamentally. It used to, the back end of the bullpen, or even any part of the bullpen, used to be, that was the Yankees game plan during their dynasty. Wear out the pitcher, get to the bullpen, and that's when they would win all their games and everything. And now it's like, you have to get to the starter. The starter's the weak link. You have to get your like 3 runs, because then otherwise you're not going to score the rest of the game, because you're just going to get, if the dude is not on, they're just going to bring on someone else who throws just as hard and has just as nasty as stuff.
Well, now, do you think it's the hitters getting worse, or do you think it's the hitters are not incentivized to hit singles and doubles anymore?
I just think it's that they can't hit these pitchers. I don't think that they're worse hitters. I think they're better hitters than ever before, but I think the pitchers, this stuff is so nasty. It's that it doesn't matter if they're trying to just put the ball in play. They just can't hit it. Like it's like wiffle ball. Like when you taped up the wiffle ball in the backyard and the way it would move, like, yeah, I wanted to put that ball in play, but I'm not hitting that thing when it's moving 3,000 feet away from me at the very last second. Like,
and the neighbor kid then throws it through the other neighbor's window.
Yes.
Oh, damn
Don't
it.
remind me.
That's okay. I to give that gentleman, that neighbor kid, credit. I almost broke your kitchen windows in the back of your house because I just kept following them off the house. So could have just as easily have been me. So.
But they didn't break, and the larger issue was not only that we broke the neighbor's window, but said gentleman, friend that we grew up with, persuaded me to lie about it. That was the problem. And of course, and I knew at this point, we were old enough, I knew that this person was, he was given to fibbing from time to time. And I should have known better. I was such a goody-goody. I can't believe I let him persuade me. I should have just told my parents right away, like, yes, we did this. And instead, that didn't happen. Anyways, that's... oh, my God. How do you fucking remember these things, Matt? I don't know how you remember these things.
Oh, come on. That was a formative moment back in the day.
Oh, my God. Crazy. But yeah, no, baseball is in, like, a really, really weird and difficult spot, I think, right now. And I think that a lot needs to be done. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, but like all of the numbers you guys are talking about so far this year really just hammers it home to me. I don't think that this is sustainable. There needs to be something done. Like when Colin's right, like when you have all of these relievers who just come out, and like every single reliever these days, or it seems like 90% of them, they all have like a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and like a disgusting slider. And if you're a reliever and you have those 2 pitches, you're probably going to do pretty fucking well. And you guys played baseball at a much higher level than me, so tell me if this is wrong, but my suspicion is that even if it is a lot of fastballs and sliders, and technically speaking they are the same pitch, there's going to be subtle differences from pitcher to pitcher. And then, of course, there's differences in the windup and everything like that, and the timing. If you're seeing a different guy every inning, even if they're all throwing 98 and a nasty slider, it's going to be really hard to latch on to that, even if they are the same pitches, right? Because they're coming from different people. Is that right?
Yeah.
So this is a problem. So what do we do about this? And it's really interesting. We've been talking about what Joe Paz has been writing about it. He wrote about this too. Apparently, you guys are more, or I don't know about Matt. Colin is active on Twitter, but apparently Joe Paz did a Twitter poll about whether there should be a rule change to like limit pitcher changes, like how often you can change a pitcher in a game, or like you're not allowed to change one in the middle of an inning, something like that. And he was thinking it was like really reasonable and could be like really beneficial, which is what I think. but apparently people were not into it. Like it was overwhelmingly not that. Like people wanted as many pitcher changes as you want. Like there should be no limit. Whereas I'm sort of like, I kind of think at this point that there should be a limit. Not only does it slow down the game, the pace of play, as we've talked about a bunch, the pace of play is interminably slow at this point, and the pitcher changes are a huge part of that. It's just fucking constant. But then this fact that the other aspect, right, is the ball just isn't getting put in play, right? We know this, right? We've talked about how baseball is like just a 3 true outcome sport at this point, right? Home run, strikeouts, and walks. And some of that can be fun. Like there's skill involved in those things. But we want to see like action. We want to see actual plays. And Matt and I'm sure we'll talk about the baseball game we went to this past weekend. I don't, as a diehard baseball fan, I don't want to see a game where everybody in the field is just kind of standing there, and maybe they have to be engaged a couple times, like once an inning. I don't know, a couple times an inning if there's a couple of hits, but like so often it's just strike, ball, foul ball, strikeout, and it's like there's who wants to watch that? Like diehard baseball fans don't. So how the fuck are casual fans going to do that? I don't know. I think there are big problems.
Yeah, it's not what you want, like our friend Joe Girardi used to say. But I don't know. I really don't know how they're going to fix it, because I don't really think they're really focused on that. I mean,
yeah.
I went to the Knights game, Charlotte Knights AAA game on Sunday. It was 1 o'clock start. Stella was napping, and we didn't get there till probably like 2:30 or so. The game was in the 6th inning, and like obviously you're talking about different levels of competition, but you're also talking about some different rule. I mean, they have the pitch clock rule there.
What time did the game start?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, and at 2:30 it was in the 6th inning.
6th inning. Yep. To give you context, the Yankee game started at 6:40 tonight. It's 9:09, and they're just starting the bottom of the 5th inning.
Yeah.
And it's 3-2. There was it was 7-2, I think, after like 7 or something. So there was a lot of action in this Knights game.
And they were still
missed
into
a
the
bunch
6th inning within an hour and a half.
Yeah,
that's what Major League Baseball needs. I think.
And I understand like the fundamental difference in like all the athletes in Major League Baseball, like the best of the best, right? And like that's kind of what we've gotten to, is where it's like when you have the best of the best, that's what's slowing everything down. Whereas like in the past, the talent, whether it was the evaluations or the way that people trained or whatever it was, like the talent across Major League Baseball was not as good as it is now. So you had a lot more parity, or you had even, a lot of teams that just like, were throwing scrubs out there almost, and a lot of ability to score and have excitement and put runs on the board, and things like that. And, we've just gotten to a point with analytics and data and the way that we develop players physically, that it's just, it seems like it's a really hard hill to get any momentum up toward fixing, because like who wants to get worse? Like none of these players are going to be like, no, I'm not signing up for something that's going to make me a worse player,
Yeah.
And all the teams, they're never giving up on this analytical thing, because they know how it can help them save money and, be more cost effective and things like that. So it's scary. It's not good.
Yeah.
Not
have we
good at all.
have we asked any of our like big baseball fan listeners what they think? Like Dan or brother Dan or cousin Greg. I feel like they've maybe mentioned it in some of their mailbags, but I'd be curious.
There's the invitation.
Yeah.
Call the voicemail.
Yeah. I want to know like what they, and anybody else who's like a big baseball fan, because we talked about this a bit. I don't know if
Jim Ertz is listening.
Feedback.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, if my dad is listening, I doubt that he is. If he is listening, then we'll I want him to know that we're gonna have to have another argument about and an argument about Paul O'Neill, now that we know that he is unvaxxed, and so a little disappointing. I still love him in the booth, but Jesus fucking Christ, yeah, like come on, man, like come on, get a fucking shot. But
he does live in Cincinnati.
Yeah. But seriously, I would be very curious to know what our diehard baseball listeners think about all of this. Like, is it worth it to institute new rules? If so, to what lengths do we go? You know, what ideas do you like? What ideas don't you like? I mean, it's all super interesting. To me, something big needs to happen. To me, 4-hour games, 3.5-hour games, the current pace of play, none of it is sustainable in my mind. Um, so I think that like drastic action needs to be taken personally. But I'd be very curious to hear what other people think.
Do you guys want to end with talking about Clayton Kershaw?
We can talk about Kershaw. Should we talk about the game that we went to this weekend though?
I think we should.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So Colin, I guess Ethan didn't know this, and he was shocked when he got there. Did you know that Camden changes to field dimensions?
Yes, left field.
Yeah, left field. First of all, I'm glad they did, but it looks dumb as shit. It just looks dumb. So because they only removed seats, which will help their sellout rate or whatever they need to do. So they removed seats, but the corner where the bullpens are just sticks right out into the field now. So it's like left of left center is like 398, and then right of left center is like what 376 or something. Like it's just really dumb. So now the power alley is just fucking deep. So no more Glaber cheapies. Maybe that's why they did it. I don't know. It just looks stupid. But we didn't really see anything hit out that way anyway. It was kind of a boring game.
I think there was one shot that went out there. That was like to the warning track maybe. Somebody, I can't remember who.
Yeah, anyway, Ethan, why don't you talk about the game?
Give the review, give the summary. Okay, so longtime listeners of the pod know that Matt and I live a couple hours away from each other, and that Baltimore is kind of in the middle of us, and so we have taken to meeting up in Baltimore with some regularity, and we've seen several baseball games at this point since you moved to PA, Matt. And so this weekend we went, and it was special because it was the Yankees. The Yankees were in Baltimore, so that was special, but more so because both of our lady friends were with us. And
Nice.
Not to go into too much detail, but I'll say that neither of our lady friends are particularly into baseball. And so they were basically humoring us. They were being very nice. They were being very nice by agreeing to go to this game with us. And I can't speak for Matt, but I assume he agrees. I was extremely grateful that they came. It was super, super fun. Yes. I think they had a good time. I know that my partner had a good time.
Same here.
Good. And so that was super fun. And I got to meet Matt's, newish lady friend for the first time. And that was super fun. I was very excited about that. So
I got to meet Ethan's. It was reciprocal.
Yeah.
It was
good.
And
Matt met mine for the first time. So it was very special all around. Very good. Unfortunately, the actual baseball was kind of shitty. The overall hang was great. The overall hang was really nice. The baseball was not so good. So the Yanks kind of looked like shit. But more importantly, in the fourth inning, Matt? It started hailing, literally hailing. Okay. Yeah. So I had an umbrella, but we all got out of there because the hail was too annoying. And then there was, it was postponed for a while. And we're just hanging out in the concourse. Then we decided to go down to one of the bars on Utah Street, which for those who don't know, there's this whole street of shops and stuff that's still within the stadium grounds. And there's this bar. So we went and we hung out at this bar. We had a drink. And we're deciding whether we want to wait and go back into the game. It's only the fourth inning. The game had already started late because of some earlier rain. Okay. Yep. So this game, I don't actually know when it ended, but it probably went until midnight?
I think so.
Yeah. And we both have an hour drive home. I think mine was 45 minutes. So neither of us were particularly keen on staying forever. So it was kind of a bummer that it got postponed. It did end up resuming while we were still in the bar. We watched a little bit from the bar, and then we ended up leaving. So as far as the actual game goes, it was one of the weirder games I've been to. 4 innings, then hail, hang out at the bar, not sure what we're going to do. Then we left. It was kind of a slow game. Yanks didn't look great. They did end up winning. The only game they won against Baltimore this weekend, but that's a whole other thing. Most importantly, and so I've been waiting to talk about this. Now, I know at this point, in our podcast's growth, I know that there are some real some real Major League Baseball power brokers that are among our fans. Okay, so I'm assuming that somebody is listening who has a lot of power at Camden Yards. And I have some really important feedback for them. So listen up here, Camden Yards executive who loves our podcast. I got a hot dog and some fries, myself and my partner. The hot dog was fine. It was decent. As far as a ballpark hot dog goes, it was fine. The fries. Okay. We're talking about fries here, right? Fried potatoes. You can't fuck that up. Even shitty fries, even like kind of soft fries, it's still fried potatoes, right? There's going to be some salt on it, whatever. It's still going to be good? No. I can tell you from now from experience, it is possible to fuck up fries. These fries were absolutely horrible. Terrible. They were cold, they were floppy, they weren't cooked, they weren't salted. It was like fucking insane. It was the worst.
Limp, soggy, potato
flaccid.
gruel.
Yeah, flaccid, dude. Like these fries were fucking disgusting. And to make it even worse, so we got the hot dog which came with the fries, and that was like $12, okay? And then because we were hungry, we got an extra side of fries. The extra side of fries was $6. And these fries
for one 35-cent potato's worth of fries.
Yeah, it was just unbelievably bad. It was just horrendous. I was so disappointed. Like, it's a ballpark. I'm not expecting gourmet cuisine, but like unhealthy fried shit should be fucking good, and it should be hot.
No. But this is a ballpark that also serves crab cakes, okay? And they pride themselves on serving crab cakes, so they don't fuck up fries. Come on now.
Yes, I agree with this. So, so this was insane, and I was very, very disappointed. I was very upset. However, after the kick, I will deliver the kiss, and I will say, for a Camden Yards executive who is listening, or executives, I'm sure the whole top brass for Camden Yards listens at this point.
This is going to go viral.
This is going to go viral. It wasn't quite enough to balance out the fries, but one of the best water fountains I've ever drank out of. It was really excellent, I have to say. I was very, very thirsty. We're hanging out on the concourse during the postponement when the rain is like really coming down. I'm really thirsty. There's a water fountain behind us. I go over to the fountain, and I got to tell you, excellent water pressure, excellent elevation. It wasn't one of these shit water fountains where it barely comes out and you have to like fucking make out with the actual piece where like all the germs are, right? Like the water was actually coming out. It was cold. It was good pressure. Really fantastic water fountain.
Yeah, this is on the third concourse. So
yeah, exactly.
It's not easy to get the good water pressure up there.
Yeah.
And they did it.
Yeah, so the water fountain was fantastic, right? So 10 out of 10 for the water fountain, negative 100 out of 10 for the fries. So like, I don't know. It's to me, it's not quite a balance. Like fries should be easy. There's no excuse for having fries that were that shitty anywhere, anytime. But especially at a baseball stadium, a Major League Baseball stadium, where it costs like $12 and $6 for like hot dog and fries and a side of fries. Insane. But the water fountain was good. So that's the story of our game this weekend.
Yeah, Ethan was very happy with that. We were just standing out in the concourse, watching because there was like, the security guards dealing with like the racist drunk assholes, and then there was like the group of biddies that were just like wearing nothing. Like, why are you like what? Like it's like 40 degrees and you're wearing nothing. And then there's like the friendly people, the guy that walked by like, I'm a Yankees fan too, give me a high five. It was a good time, but it was just weird. And then the fries were disappointing. Seats were good, right? I mean,
the seats were good. Upper deck seats, but
$30 for the seats. They were front row.
Yeah, really
on
good
the third
view.
level on the third base side, like pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's just disappointing, really disappointing.
Yeah.
And like then the sleet. First it was sleet, and then it was hail. Like because the first two drops of sleet, like one hit my hand and one hit my pants, and I looked down because I was so confused, and I thought like a bird had shit on me because it was just like a pile of icy goop just like hit my hand like blah, and I just didn't know what to do. And I think Ethan was like, "Is that hail?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then we just got up and left. Like it was just. It started hurting when it was coming down.
Yeah, it was
painful.
It was legit.
They got the tarp out.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
we'd already dealt with some like intermittent rain, but we were like, we'll stick it out. Like, it's okay. We'll keep each other warm. We're all family.
Yeah, but this was not good. Yeah, no, this was not worth sitting out in. But
Well, and it was tough because like it was getting late, but I wanted to stay. because like I wanted to, hang out with Ethan and his lady friend, and it was fun to be there, but it was also like, all right, it's almost 11 o'clock and this game stinks, and
it was only like in the 5th inning at 11 o'clock or whatever, like.
So it was like that sunk cost fallacy, and I felt bad, Ethan, because I was like, I'm going to make a decision, we're leaving. Like,
I think it was the right call.
But even I couldn't make a decision, so I was like, all right, well, let's go to the sports bar down there and sit there for a little while before we make a decision. So
yeah,
and okay, my complaint: sports bar. Get better beers on tap. Like, don't have 5 variations of Bud and then Guinness Blonde.
Yeah, it's like, 2022. Boom. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's a really good point, Matt. So yeah, I'm going to talk about this really quickly. So Matt described it as like 5 variations on Bud Light. Let me get a little more specific. There was Bud Light, there was Stella, there was Blue Moon, there was Guinness Blonde, Modelo. So like all super boring, like mass produced, like piss beer. And so, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not expecting them to have, like, the top-notch, like, craft shit on tap. It's a baseball stadium bar. That's fine. But, like, I don't know. That was at least have shitty.
One craft beer in a can or something. Like, we were looking in the coolers, like, what do you got?
Something. Yeah, very
Busy seltzer.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? And Camden Yards is all patting themselves on the back. There are these like banners all over the stadium talking about like 30-year anniversary.
Baseball's never been the same.
Yeah, like the stadium that changed baseball forever. Yeah. This is real, Colin. Yeah. If you come to Baltimore, yeah. So they're all like excited and proud of their stadium. Sorry guys, but like 30 years in, you may think you're so legendary. Your fries are fucking garbage. 30 years should be enough to figure out how to do French fries. And your beer is shit. It's 2022. No excuse.
Well, and I didn't tell Ethan, but you want to know how much one of those Guinnesses cost?
So I owe you more money.
No, you don't. You're fine. You covered it. But it was $13 for 1 pint of Guinness Baltimore Blonde.
No.
Gross.
Yeah.
13 each. We had one. We had 4. We had one for all of us.
Yeah. I bought a round. And the bill comes and it's just like,
I'm sending you more money. That's unacceptable.
Don't worry about it.
That's fucking insane. Oh my god. Okay, I gotta tell you, like, the water fountain was great, but it's not enough to balance out the rest of this shit. Like, holy fuck, Orioles Park. Oh my god.
Just buy a round when we see a game in Washington, and we'll call it even.
All right, that's fair.
So basically, you're telling me that the ballpark is about as high class as the product on the field has been over the course of the time that Camden Yards has been around.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Exactly.
They had a couple good seasons. There's your water fountain.
Yeah.
Everything else has been garbage.
Now the most fun of it, though, of the whole experience, I will say, and also huge kudos to the lady friends for humoring us with this too. Best part of the whole experience: beers in the parking garage before the game.
Oh yeah, garage beers. So this is a tradition that I believe was Matt's idea.
I just wanted to drink with you and not drink in the park
and not have to pay $13 for a Guinness Blonde. So when Matt and I started going to like games together, and like I think we've maybe done it at concerts. I don't know. But when Matt and I will like meet up, we'll park in the same parking garage. We'll try to park next to each other, and then we'll have a garage beer or two. And so those who know me know that I really despise all traditions and rituals and ceremonies. I think it's all a bunch of waste of time. I just think it's terrible. This is one tradition that I do truly cherish. Garage beers with Matt are wonderful.
One of 3 that Ethan admitted to that he enjoys.
What are the other 2?
Wasn't something to do with Memorial Day and
Colin's Memorial Day parties. I like this Ornelia Memorial Day parties.
There was 3 that we were able to eke out of Ethan.
Okay. So
but yeah, I mean, this was we were almost all the way to the top, but we found a spot right next to the edge. So we had our cars there. We had a little well in the middle of the cars, overlooking a beautiful Days Inn. Just beautiful
Days Inn. Really wonderful.
And like maybe a 5-foot view of the harbor if you look far enough to the right. And we had some snacks.
Yep.
And I don't think we ate any of the snacks, but they were there. And we had some garage beer. So Ethan and I and my lady friend cracked a beer each and just chit-chatted for a little while, which we could have stayed longer. We didn't realize that the game was delayed. So true. We could have done another. It was fun. And again, and thank you for those who humored us. I was trying to say that this, in most other circumstances would be considered trashy, but in this circumstance, it was classy and fun, and we were enjoying each other's company, and ready for the game.
Exactly. So there you go. That was a longer segment than I expected.
No, I'm enjoying it. I want to talk about it more.
Yeah, no, this was important. I mean,
Colin,
we need.
This is the stuff that people want to. Every time I get the feedback, this is the stuff that people want to hear.
Colin, I look forward to when you can join us.
Yeah, seriously. Beer. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I mean, I gave you guys a date, and neither one of you responded to me.
Well, we're gonna do. Well, so your brothers are gonna try to do Baltimore in July. You said, right?
Yeah, whenever they're there in July.
So we'll either do that or we'll do that Padres one we had talked. We're gonna do something. We're gonna make something work this summer, no doubt. That's 100% happening.
July 23rd. Yeah.
Did I not respond?
You responded about something. Oh, you said why is it a?
The Baltimore thing about
just dude. I'm down for that. I have a plans that the 24th, but not the 23rd.
I think we should end the podcast with 10 minutes of us discussing our plans for the next few months.
So are you free on this day?
Yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. Yes. I think.
Well, hey, so I mean, we checked out a cool Belgian brewery. It was kind of not my thing, but we each had a beer there.
Cool spot. Yeah, called the Brewer's Art. In Baltimore, cool spot. We went to a cool vegan place, a vegan place called Doda's Kitchen, which was cool.
Which we don't have to go back there all the time, but it was Ethan and his lady friend joined us there. It was fun.
Yeah. So good hang. The game was a mixed bag.
The fries, absolute garbage.
Yes. So that's sort of the main synopsis here. I'm excited for when this summer, everybody, fans of the pod, be on the lookout this summer. All three of us are going to go to a game together for the first time in several years. And then I'm sure the pod episode after that, when we all do our collective review of the game, will be epic and legendary. So, do we want to talk about Kirsch or save that for next year?
If you come up for a game in Baltimore, you are equidistant from Ethan or I. So who do you want to stay with, really? It's the biggest thing.
I would probably stay in Baltimore.
Oh. What an adult. I
could understand him not wanting to stay with me because I'm out of the way.
Right.
Yeah, but Matt's got a better space.
Yeah, you got a better space. There's not a ton of room.
The podcat, who is at my feet, ready to contribute.
Podcat, such a good boy.
Yeah. Whatever we do, because I am coming longer, I would like to make it more than a 7-hour event.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Make like a whole weekend out of it. Yeah. Can I do 2 shout outs before we're done?
You got 30 seconds.
All right. First is to my friend Amelia, a dear friend of mine, a close friend of mine since college, who listens to our show and really loves it and gave me the best feedback ever, which I shared with the guys. It was just very, very sweet, very touching, which is classic Amelia. The other shout out is to my brother Jeremy, friend of the pod, who has been on the pod before. When we were talking about our Philly trip, when Matt and I were talking about Philly and we talked about Murph's Bar and Ortlieb's and all this shit, turns out we talked about a ton of shit that Jeremy loves. He has spent a bunch of time in Philly. Ortlieb's is the wet beer, some of you will remember, but it's a venue, and apparently the venue is very cool. And Murph's, the food that we ended up not trying, apparently the food at Murph's is really excellent, and Jeremy's picky, so if he says so, I trust him. But
so that mysterious food coming from the basement, steps of mystery that smelled like fish. It did look good. I will say that. We did not give them a fair shake. We were just looking for beers and bar food, and apparently we stumbled on
a nice Italian
fish towns,
place called Murph's.
Hidden basement Italian food of fame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, that's my shout outs.
All right, anything for you, Matt?
Joey Gallo hasn't had an extra base hit or an RBI this year.
Oh,
Joey Gallo.
All right, let's talk Gallo and also Kirsch. Let's talk Kirsch next week. We should talk about that.